one characteristic that every single religion shares for what it is for God to be a God. And it always begins in the very beginning. Literally, it always begins in the very beginning. In the beginning, God does what? He creates the heavens and the earth. That's what it is to be a God, to create. And that means to live, well, to create a reality and then to live in that actual reality. What is it, therefore, then to be a devil? To do what? Destroy. And so you've got these, you have this eternal conflict, this eternal war. And it's not just in a spiritual sense, if you believe in that. It's also in a very physical sense as well. You interact with these people. What is it for the gods to be gods? Well, to be honest, to be giving, to be respectful, to live in a reality, to create. What is it for there to be devils? To destroy. Accusatory, retaliatory, or is it easier to find people who are honest, giving, respectful? And then you tell me which is easier to see in the world. We oftentimes carry this really dark view of humanity. And what we forget is that a lot of times it's warranted. It's like stereotypes. Why do stereotypes exist? Largely because they're true, largely. And that isn't to say anything is everything. People say, that's not true because I have a friend who's different. It's like, dude, nothing is everything, man. But these things are helpful because they help us to interpret the world and to make sense of the world. If you walk around and you think that most people all around the world are honest, giving, and respectful, well, then you're going to be very vulnerable to the world. And if you're very vulnerable to the world, you'd better be really, really, really strong. Now if you're gonna be giving, you have to have a lot to give. If you're going to be vulnerable, you have to be really well protected. But if you walk around the world and you understand that most people are lying, stealing, disrespectful, accusatory, and retaliatory, well, then now you can feel safe. You can protect yourself against it. But there's a trade-off, because if you think that most people are this way, what do you get what do you get in return? You're going to find the little ways in which people are most of these things. And oftentimes you're going to notice that we find these things out in the world everywhere. But there's one place that we oftentimes don't seem to find it. In ourselves. I mean, everybody else is lying and stealing and I'm totally respectful. I don't know about you guys, but I have found that the people who talk about respect the most are usually the last ones to give it. People who walk around are like, oh, you have to have respect, be respectful. They're usually the most disrespectful sons of bitches I've ever met in my life. I have a standing rule about that. When people say, hey man, we're family, I always like, dude, seriously, you're about to screw me, aren't you? No, man, we're a family though. Oh man, what did I do wrong? We go to faculty meetings and they'll say, and at Suhai, we're a family. I always go, oh man, I'm glad I'm sitting down. And I'm looking around because I know, because in every family there's an uncle and sometimes there's multiple. When people say things like, oh, you gotta be respectful, I always think, man, you're probably gonna end up being the most disrespectful person I've met today. Another one, the bigger the cross, the bigger the asshole. People who have big giant cross tattoos. Usually, those are the ones who are trying to prove something. It's like the people who say have tattoos that say things like, only God can judge me. You're probably an asshole, huh? You're probably used to being judged a lot because you probably do a lot to deserve to be judged. And if you show up and you've got a big giant cross tattoo and another one that says only God can judge me and you tell me that we're family and I should be respectful, forget about it. And all of us have probably know people like that. Does that say everybody's like that? No, nothing is everything. Nothing is everything. Nothing is everything. But I think what you're going to find in life is that there are two kind of like branches of people, maybe. In the first one, you've got, I guess I should ask this question. What is it for God to be God? No matter what religion you're in, and even if you don't believe in any religion, what is it? There's like one characteristic that every single religion shares for what it is for God to be a God. And it always begins in the very beginning. Literally, it always begins in the very beginning. In the beginning, God does what? He creates the heavens and the earth. That's what it is to be a God, to create. And that means to live, well, to create a reality and then to live in that actual reality. What is it, therefore, then to be a devil? To do what? Destroy. And so you've got these, you have this eternal conflict, this eternal war. And it's not just in a spiritual sense, if you believe in that. It's also in a very physical sense as well. You interact with these people. What is it for the gods to be gods? Well, to be honest, to be giving, to be respectful, to live in a reality, to create. What is it for there to be devils? To destroy. Somebody last period was asking me, after the Dodgers won the World Series, they had a parade up in Los Angeles, and I don't know if any of you guys saw that. People were just destroying stuff, burning buses, knocking stuff over, looting. It's like, why? Because they won. It makes sense, right? What do you do when things are going your way and you're happy? You loot. What do you do when you're protesting because you're angry about the police? You loot. So what do we humans just do? Some people just destroy and loot. It doesn't matter if things are going well or things are going badly. Why? Because they're not creators. They're only destroyers. There are people, it doesn't matter what mood they're in, they just want to tear things down. Sorry if this hits any of you guys, but there are people who sit there and scribble on desks. What are you hoping to get out of that? I'm just bored. So you're bored, so you ruin something? That's what you do when you're bored? You ruin? And then if you're asked about it, you do that. I didn't do that. You know? And you really think that you're sitting there scribbling on things, that you're being very respectful? All of you can't even touch the bottoms of your desks. Some of you are horrified about the idea of your legs touching the bottoms of your desks, especially if you're wearing shorts. Why? What's on the bottom of your desk? Gum. From when? I don't even. Dude, this is a trip. Some of you might have touched your knees onto your parents' gum. That's how long it's been down there. That may have been your parents' gum. Some cases, maybe even your grandparents. I don't know. You're bumping into gum. Why? Because they're respectful people who come through here. And I wonder how many of those people today have only God can judge me tattoos or big giant cross tattoos because they're being so respectful. And these will be the people who accuse lots of other people of other things. Oh, they did this, they did that. Didn't you put gum? That doesn't matter. It's not important. Oh, so you also get to decide what's important. Everybody else. And let me guess. The thing that you've decided is not important happens to be the thing that you're being disrespectful about. Why? Because they just destroy. This is what some people do. And there are people who create, and there are people who destroy. This is the very essence of what it is. I mean, this is the eternal conflict that you find play out in every religion. You have a God who creates the heavens and the earth, and then you have a devil who comes along and tries to destroy it. Tries to destroy reality through lying, saying that things are not actually as they are. I mean, that's the very first lesson that we get. Many of you in here are Christian. That's the very first lesson that you get from the book of Genesis. God creates the heavens and the earth. They have all these animals. They name them. And then you've got Adam and Eve walking around, and all of a sudden the serpent shows up. And Adam and Eve are in this garden, and they're told you can eat of anything that you want, any fruit of this garden, except for this one tree. And what's that one tree? Well, it's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. People think oftentimes that's the tree of knowledge. No. It's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Why? Because once you eat it, now you know what evil is. Why? Because you've been disobedient. You have violated the natural order. And so before that, you don't know what evil is. It might be a good thing. In other words, people are in this childlike state. They're in that innocent stage. And so the serpent shows up, and he doesn't slither up. He walks up because the text says that he's walking on four legs. It's the serpent who walks on four legs. And he comes up and asks Eve, cool fruit, man. So God said you can eat of any of these fruits, right? Do you detect the lie? There's a lie going on there. It's a lie of omission. God didn't say you can eat of any fruit. He said any fruit except for this one tree. So when people ask me, I was just talking to someone 2 days ago about this, they're asking me, so is it a lie to omit information? Yeah, that's the very first lie that we have recorded. It's to remove information. Why? Because the essence of lying is not saying things that aren't true. Otherwise, it's saying things that aren't true in order to get something out of it, to manipulate a person, to use them not as a human being, but to use them as a tool to get what you want out of them. So it's denying humanity on people. It's denying people their humanity. It's denying people their autonomy. It's removing information. It's the very first lie. And then Eve correctly says, no. He said we can eat any fruit except for that one. And then you got to think, come on, did he really say that? Did God really say that? She's like, yeah. And what's funny is he didn't even say it to her. He said it to Adam. But Adam must have told her, so she knew. And then the very next thing is, listen, here's why he didn't want you to eat it. So he's already acknowledged he's lied to her twice. Because he knows that when you do that, you'll become a god like him. That's why he doesn't want you to eat it. And Eve is like, really? She's not tempted by the first two things, but to become a god? Oh, that's something special. So then she's like, let me at it. And then she eats it. And what does she do immediately? She turns to Adam. And he's like, all right, so he does it. So what's the overarching thing that's going on there? The desire to be God, the desire to make the universe in your own way. But understand that when you do that, you're automatically making it in a way that doesn't correspond to reality. You're making a brand new reality. You're severing off this basically like you're creating a multiverse, your own new timeline. But that's got nothing to do with actual reality. And that's the danger of lying. Lying itself attacks the fabric of the universe. It attacks our perception of the fabric of the universe. It doesn't change anything. All it does is the only purpose it serves is to drive us farther and farther away from actual real reality. And this is why people will say things like, I've been living a lie. They'll say things like, I don't even know who I am. They'll say things like, I don't even understand the world around me. And they'll spend their whole lives trying to get back to reality because they spent the better part of their life doing everything they can to escape it. And of course, why do you escape a reality? Because you're not happy with the way that it is. This is why we indulge in excessive entertainment. This is why we engage in excessive drug and alcohol use. This is why we engage in excessive lying. Because we're unhappy with the fabric of the universe, so there's the pride. There's the arrogance. I don't like the way things are, so let me try to change the whole universe to suit me. Rather than get myself in line with the truth and get myself in line with the universe, let me try to change the fabric of the universe to make me happy. I can lie and get people to think something about me. I can try to redefine things to benefit me and make me happy. Rather than get myself on the page with reality. Those are all of the sins together tied in. And again, you don't have to be religious to understand that this is a psychological text. And it's teaching us something very important. Now, if you are religious and you ask that question, why is it easier to see is it easier for people to believe in a devil than God's? Well, yeah, of course. Why? Because who's the ruler of this age? Who's supposed to be the ruler of the earth? It's not. I'll give you a heads up. No matter what religion you're in, it ain't God. All the texts are very specific. Who rules the earth? The devil. And what does he do? He accuses. He doesn't come along and tell you, hey, kill this person. He doesn't make you do anything. I don't know about you guys, but do any of you guys need someone to make you do evil stuff? Or is that just kind of what we do naturally a lot of times? Maybe tempt you a little bit. In other words, but by tempt, all we mean is give you the option of. It never ceases to amaze me how many students blame me for their failures. You know why I'm failing the class? It's because Scallon's just too relaxed. It's his fault. He lets me go to the bathroom. He doesn't make me do work. He doesn't call my house. It's his fault that I'm failing. Yeah. I know. I just give you the opportunity. I encourage you constantly. Tell you, hey man, you're doing the wrong thing. You know that you are. Get on the right path. Oh, okay. Tomorrow. Because tomorrow's always the busiest day of the week. That's when we do everything. Tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. But there is a point that so many tomorrows taking you off the path make you very far away. and hard to get back. And this is oftentimes when people just give up. I was talking to interacting with, I guess is a better way of saying, a friend of mine recently who, it's two friends of mine who are fighting, they're arguing. And both of them started in the same place. I've got one friend who's made a life for himself. He's got a career. He's got a family. He's got everything, that you would look at and say, I want that kind of a life. And the other friend who does what he can to tear down this other person. Why? Because that other person reminds him that he's not what he could be. And so what you do is you try to pull down that person to destroy, rather than lift yourself up. And I saw this text message exchange between the two of them where one of them just kind of says, here's why I'm upset with you. And the other one says, sounds like you've misunderstood some things. But the truth is I've got too many things going on with my life, with this messed up life I've chosen for myself. And he complains about how he's too much into alcohol. He hates the life that he's created for himself. But he doesn't think, but you know what, man, you've made your decision, so that's on you. But that's got nothing to do with anything. It's a person who's revealing more than he realizes, which is, I talked all this trash about you because I hate my own life. The other one who created a life for himself, and the other one who's destroyed his own, and the devils are never satisfied with destroying their own life. They want to destroy lives of others. I promise you, if I said to you guys, no cell phones for the rest of the year, none, they're out. If I catch anybody using their cell phone, everybody in the class fails. I promise you. Can you believe it? I promise you. It wouldn't take long before I would find somebody trying to sneak in a message or something. Why? Even though it would cost everybody else everything. To destroy. Just don't care. Just destroy. Why? I'm unhappy with my life. I'm unhappy with the way the universe is. I'm unhappy with how things are turning out for me. And I'm going to try to pull everybody else down to my level. And so you see signs of that everywhere. You see people like this everywhere. It's hard. Because then you ask, now here's the better question. Which of these is more like our actual real nature? Is this our nature? And is this the thing that we aspire to be more like? To elevate ourselves, become better than what we presently are? And so that's the real struggle. That's the real thing that's being expressed through most religions, psychologically. The desire to attain something better. That's why I asked that question. Are we supposed to be godlike? Because, isn't that what Christian means, to be Christ-like? Isn't that what, people who follow Zeus, isn't that why? Because they aspire to be like that? Isn't that what Muslims do? They aspire to be like Muhammad and thereby to worship Allah like Muhammad did? To attain something greater than what we presently are. I'll leave it with that, I guess. That's the question everybody has to decide. What are you going to be today? A god or a devil? What do you be tomorrow? A god or a devil? What do you be the day after that? A god and it's a daily choice of what is it that we're going to ask ourselves, what we should be. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Tuesday. Yeah.